Salve to Discipuli, this is Magister Buddy, and this lesson is intended to cover an intensive review about nouns, basically everything that you learned about nouns in middle school Latin. So pause the video if needed in order to grab your notebook and take notes, because you will be writing some sentences down and taking notes. So, quick review on the function of cases in Latin. The nominative case tells you the subject, or it might be indicating a subject complement. Here's an example of a subject, the kid throws. In Latin, kid would be in the nominative case. The dative. The dative, majority of the time, indicates the indirect object, meaning it is indirectly receiving the action of the verb. So the kid throws the ball for the dog, or you could say to the dog. But in Latin, this right here, dog, would be in the dative. It is occasionally the direct object, which we'll talk more about later. The accusative is always the direct object or the object of a preposition. This example here shows it as the direct object, as in it is directly receiving the action of the verb. The kid throws the ball for the dog. What did the kid throw? He threw the ball. That's how we know that it is the direct object in English. In Latin, it will be in the accusative case. The ablative. For right now, the ablative is just the object of a preposition. So the kid throws the ball over the house. Over is our preposition. The house would be the object of the preposition. So over the house would be a prepositional phrase with the ablative as the object of the preposition. It is very important to remember that English relies on word order to indicate function. Latin relies on endings to indicate function. Back to those datives and how sometimes they can be a direct object. In your flashcards, I indicate that with a plus dat. That's how it's also listed in the book. It is worthwhile to take your time and write these down and just review them occasionally, especially the night before a test. Because if you see a dative that is going with credo or praesum or placeo, faveo, invideo, or any others that say plus dat, they're going to be your direct object, not your indirect object. All right, here are your first declension endings. If you have forgotten them, take some time to write them down and learn them. And let's go over some sentences. So, metella est inculina. Because we're not functioning focusing right now on the prep phrase, I have that in parentheses. So what do you think the function of metella is based on the chart and what we discussed on the previous slide? If you put that metella is the subject, then you are correct. What about Melissa viam spectat? If you put that Melissa is the subject because she's nominative, a, and that viam is the direct object because it's am, then you are correct. Onculi canam puellis parunt. So we've got three different nouns here. Onculi would be the nominative plural, so the slave girls prepared dinner for the boys. Right here, for the boys, it ends in is, therefore it's our indirect object. As you can see over here, is can also be ablative plural, but there's no preposition in front of it. So we know it's not part of a prep phrase, therefore it's our dative. Something else that we should point out is onculi. It ends in ae. We've got two ae endings here. One dative singular, the other nominative plural. You can try both of these possibilities out and see which one makes more sense. It doesn't make sense as an indirect object because we already have an indirect object over here. It does make sense as a subject because it's nominative plural and we have a plural verb. Plural subject, plural verb. So oftentimes you'll have to use the other clues in the sentence to figure it out. Metella togis fawet. All right, metella is our subject. She's nominative singular. Togis, that is dative singular, could be ablative singular, but there's no preposition in front of it, therefore it's dative singular. But fawet is a special verb. It takes the dative as its direct object. So that's why I have this dative here marked as a DO. Oncula ehwila exit. Oncula is nominative, so she's our subject. Wila is ablative, going with our preposition, so I have it in parentheses to kind of make it stand out. Puella ad tabernum ambulat. Puella is our subject. Ambulat's our verb. Tabernum is accusative, but it's part of a prep phrase. Okay, first declension gender. 99% of the first declension words are feminine. A handful of them that are professions are actually masculine, so it's worthwhile to memorize those. Second declension can either be masculine or neuter. Notice that I have a backslash here. Anything to the left of the backslash is masculine, anything to the right of the backslash is neuter, for example, right here. So the us and the are your masculine endings. Would be your neuter ending. Same over here. Puer est in atrio. Go ahead and pause the video, write this sentence down, and label the nouns. If you came up with the subject, puer is the subject, you are correct. See the ER here and the ER here. And we know that the nominative is our subject. Amicus domino credit. Amicus is our subject. Domino is our direct object. And you might say, wait, but an accented O is dative or ablative. We know it's not ablative because there's no prep in front of it. And it's dative. Why isn't the indirect object? Because credit is a special verb. Servi vinum dominis parant. The slaves prepare wine for the masters. Vinum est in cubiculu. The wine is in the bedroom. Quintus est filius. Quintus is the son. Here is an example of a nominative functioning as a subject complement. It is completing the idea of the subject over here. Est is just a linking verb. Think of this as an equals sign. So we have a nominative singular masculine, nominative singular masculine. Signa in tablino sunt. The signs are on the table. Subject, verb. Remember, if something is neuter, when it is in the plural, nominative or accusative, it always ends in an A. So second declension gender, masculine or neuter. Don't forget the two neuter rules. The nominative and accusative are always the same. The nominative and accusative plural are always A. If you can remember these two rules, it will save you a world of headaches. Third declension. Third declension is a little tricky. It comes in all three genders. I put odd here in the nominative singular because the nominative singular doesn't really follow a pattern. Because of the neuter being the same in the nominative and the accusative, whatever it is in the nominative, it's also going to be in the accusative. And then we've got our A's over here for our nominative and accusative plural neuters. So let's do some practice. Mercator est in nawa. The merchant is in the ship. This OR here. There's no OR written out, therefore it goes in the odd box. That's how we knew that it was nominative and therefore our subject. Pax patri placet. Pax is our subject. Patri is our direct object. Even though it is dative, placet is a special verb. That's why patri is our direct object. Peace is pleasing to the Father. Senex clamorem audit. The old man hears a shout. Juvenis ad urbem currit. The young man runs to the city. Mercator est fur. The merchant is a thief. Here's another example. We've got two nominatives, one on each side of a linking verb, which is essentially an equal sign. They are the same. So this is a subject complement. Canes in centurione dormiunt. The dogs are sleeping on the centurion. All right, third declension gender, masculine, feminine, or neuter. It comes in all three genders. Again, don't forget your two neuter rules. Super important to remember those. Remember, English relies on word order to indicate function. You can't just look at Latin words and read them left to right. Latin relies on endings to indicate function, so make sure you know your endings. It is vitally important in Latin to know your endings. Vale te discipuli.